All right, guys, welcome to another day. Happy Monday. I hope you had an amazing Mother's Day, an amazing weekend. I hope you got out there and saw some sunshine. Fun to watch charts, but probably soak up some sun. I don't know where you are, but where I was, it was a beautiful weekend, and I definitely took advantage of touching all the grass I could. All right, so let's look at the pattern that we were looking at all weekend. We had this idea pretty early on in the weekend that we were going to range in this rising wedge idea, and we really stuck to that. We played it out all weekend, and finally we got this big run up to the top idea, and immediately straight down we went. Again, this is great. When this is happening, our ideas for altcoins are going to do really well. We see Bitcoin go sideways and we see dominance going down. Know that money is flowing into altcoins. So a lot of the setup ideas that we had at the beginning of the month have reached really nice targets, which is great. We're not complaining at that at all. So for this week, what I'm looking at is the same idea as last week. We're watching for Bitcoin to kind of become a little more stagnant, and we're looking to see these alts continue to run, or we're going to see Bitcoin fake out and run up. And let's sit down and look at the two possibilities and what we're looking for to see which one of them might play out. So the first idea is going to be that Bitcoin, very boring, and finds a range somewhere and consolidates, and we see dominance continue to drop, and we see some of these alt ideas that we were looking at continue to run. So let's just take a look at something pretty generic. All right, so have these high time frame ideas for alts that we are going to start changing momentum, making our higher highs and our higher lows, and push up. If we're going to start to see alts collect momentum, that's the goal, is we start to see these uptrends happen now. Again, be super mindful. Even if the altcoins do decide to start running, you are going to see insane pullbacks. So you have to be smart and be prepared. It never means go all in and never look back. But that's what we're looking for right now, is if we can see these altcoins start to push higher while Bitcoin lingers, that's an ideal scenario for the alts. If we see Bitcoin continue to push, it doesn't mean that alts are going to necessarily die off completely right now. It just means they're not going to perform yet. Take a look at dominance. Actually, rainy day today. Well, hopefully that passes for you, and tomorrow brings you some sunshine. Yes, we are nice and sunny on the Canada side today. Okay, so this is the big idea that let's zoom out for a second and look at this big idea. We're looking to see dominance top out to give us that real altcoin season that we've been all waiting for. So this pattern is 100% still in play. We last time that we were peaking out at these levels, we really saw a very big ramp up before we finally rolled over. We haven't really seen that massive push. I mean, nothing says we have to. That would be the way that crypto would do things. It would mislead you. You would expect it to be just like last time, and then it will be slightly different and front run you and keep you out of where you want to be. That's how these markets work, right? I mean, everybody can't make money in these markets or they wouldn't exist. So right now we had that nice pullback. We had Bitcoin consolidate, and that gave us a nice little run on some of these alt ideas. So now we need to look for this to hold. We want to see things continue to push for alts on these ideas. But remember, the last couple of videos I've been trying to talk about how we do often see, we see the pattern break down, and then we see some type of sideways consolidation happen. So we're not necessarily completely out of the water with alts. We're not necessarily running right to the top of our pattern ideas. Okay, so there are alts out here right now that are looking like they're just doing their starting run. They're just doing that retest. We've just crossed bullish. But again, after seeing this run up, we're not necessarily going to go to the top. So what we need to look for now is our next pattern. Might not be that overdrive. So as these alts run up now, we have to watch individual patterns. We have to keep an eye on dominance. And we have to watch Bitcoin level for level. Because if momentum is changing, we're going to start to see these small bullish patterns continue to play out, and we're going to work into higher target ideas. We just have to be mindful that when we hit these lower areas, we're going to see lots of volume pickup every time we hit that low spot. But we might not be ready to launch. If the market is still weak and unconfident, people will continue to take profits, and we'll form some type of a pattern, and this will be traded for a while. Not everybody is stuck in up here. A lot of people just made 100%, 170%, and are taking their profits. So we have to take it level for level. But the idea here is that we're going to see most of these alts that we've been talking about for the past couple of months start to run higher highs, higher lows. We're going to push towards a bull pattern. Okay. So as far as Bitcoin goes, obviously, I think it goes without saying, if we manage to push into our all-time highs, it could get pretty wild. But we have to watch the charts, patterns. Anytime that I'm trading in the group or I'm sharing things in the group, I'm waiting for confident idea, and I'm sharing a confident pattern idea. Or we see some type of a pattern form here, and we break it down in the time frame, and we make a decision. All weekend, we were watching this rising wedge pattern, and the decision is very simple. We have to watch, are we going to break up from this or down from this? So we're at this level now. Let's go ahead and wipe the chart, look at another option. Locally, we now have to start considering this uptrend. You're trying to get as many touches as you can on these lines. The more touches, the more confirmation of the idea. That's going to give you a better. So we're in a rising wedge. We are pretty far into our golden cross. Again, there's nothing that says Bitcoin can't break this. I'd be watching for it to break it and make a run. But if we don't break up in a very bullish way, there's a good chance that we see the bottom, we fall through, and ideally, we see something happen on Bitcoin. If you want alts to run, this is what we want from Bitcoin. We want some type of pattern to form here. We slowly work our way down. Gets worse and worse, and it gets more and more boring. Higher time alts do what we want them to. So these levels we have to watch, right? If we see Bitcoin break and we see dominance push, alts are not going. I mean, they could run with the market, but they're not going to have the momentum to get to the higher highs and have bullish ideas. If we are able to see cool down, going to see that money flow continue to come out of dominance, going to see alts do very well. As far as the poll goes, we're considering what's going to do better this week, alts or Bitcoin. I believe personally that this week is not going to be great for anything. I think we're going to see pullbacks this week, and we're going to see some of these coins that haven't yet reached those breakover points. Some things haven't yet crossed, and we might see them, do a bit of a pullback and then make that run. But for the most part, I think we have to take a breath this week, unless something drastic happens. So if it's all smooth and normal, it's gonna be a pretty boring week in my opinion. Aside from alts having some, because we have to look at dominance right now. And if you're trading, you're watching stuff like this. We can even break dominance down. And okay, so again, level by level, we have to watch dominance in this area. See if it takes a run up. Maybe it's going to retest a level. If you're holding, you don't care as much about this stuff. If you're trading, this stuff is very important. I look at these things before I make trades. How I organize. So we watch dominance. Could be seeing dominance take a bit of a run up out of this pattern to try and retest a level. If that happens, that's potentially not going to be great for alts, which is going to give us that cool off and that pullback that alts might need. Again, we could see a bearish retest happen and valuation down, which could give us the next level on alts. But we have to make those calls when we get a little more. Ideally, we want to trade these patterns. So again, we can make a pretty good guess that when the price starts to get down to these lower levels, we're going to see bounces. But we can't confirm if those bounces are going to be the time that we rally. Because every time we have a rally, a pullback, we have some form of sideways action for a while. Now, predicting exactly when this is going to end, break out, and run to the top of this pattern is very tough to do. because people are going to be prone to take profits, and then confidence slowly builds in the idea. Or you finish up with the accumulation phase and you run into markup. Judging exactly when that ends is tough until you have patterns. So again, we did see all of these nice bounces on alts from these bottom areas, but we have to be diligent. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to all-time highs with alts right now. We could be seeing an uptrend happening. Could be seeing it turn around right now. But nothing's telling me that tomorrow everything's going to the all-time highs and blowing our mind. So SUI was something we were looking at. We were looking at it to come back down and test these levels. Your previous resistance turned support. Classic. We had that. We get that run up, and that's happened. But at this point now, it's harder for me to confidently share an idea. Happy to share this with the group because these are ideas that we would trade. But once you're up here, I mean, you're either going to moon candle to all-time highs or you're going to back, form a bigger pattern. So until we have the data here, says we're in a bull flag, it's going to go up. We're not looking at alts. I've already made an. If you go in and you know what you're doing, find it. Obviously, level, and you trade that level per level, so you don't feel confident in your idea. Other Ethereum chart had a little more information on it. Again, okay, so with Ethereum, when we were looking at all these ideas for alts to make a run and everything else to kind of cool down or go sideways, it's because we were at these big levels, and clearly some volume came in and people responded to that. But again, the last time this happened, we had this big pullback. We had a nice bounce. It was a very nice bounce. I'm sure people were very excited about it. But then we pulled back and we ran sideways for almost a year. So again, we could be looking at something similar now. It's hard to judge this. This is just an idea. There isn't enough data down here, give a clear indication. But just based on an idea of previous price action, it doesn't mean that we're going to just bump all-time highs and disappear right now. But anything that looks like it's been consolidating, for a long time and then slowly starts to make these, you see that higher high and then you break down into this pattern, right? So all these coins, everybody gets excited. They've done this big run. Then they consolidate for a year. Then they take the other leg up. So we have to be trading these based on the patterns and based on the ideas. I don't ever come into my my area where I trade, see 7 candles up in the sky, say it's time to get in. You're looking for those patterns to pull back, make ideas. That's when volume comes into the market. That's when confidence shows up. That's when everybody else starts trading. Yeah, 100%. That's the goal, right? Is we keep getting those healthy pullbacks, and then you can stack sats or add to positions, and we grow properly. But I know you've been here for a long time, and you know exactly how that can go. Sometimes it just get that FOMO situation, and we go straight to Mars, and we come right back so fast. So some of these altcoins that have had these amazing runs, it's super tempting to add to because you really think they could just push because we've seen it happen. But then it's kind of deciding which ones to do that with, and that comes down to breaking it down into the smaller time frames, finding those bullish patterns. It's definitely time to be watching. I mean, this last month is anybody that doesn't if you haven't spent a lot of time here, you're not paying attention until things are really green. If you spent enough time here, you start paying attention when things get really nasty and really red because you realize that that's the level where things are going to start to push around. You can start making confident trades again. Nobody's confidently trading downtrends, or nobody should nobody should be confidently trading downtrends. I'm sure that lots of people do. You guys are with us today. I appreciate you stopping in. Again, today's not what I was actually hoping for a lot more data. I'm hoping that Monday was going to give us something great. It really hasn't. Even the stock market today, I mean, it bumped up pretty nice, and then it just kind of looks like it wants to roll back over. So nothing has done anything super significant today. Actually, our Lucid's moving. That's nice. None of our other ideas have really made much of an effort on Monday. That's to be expected, right? I think more traders are drinking coffee on Monday than trading. And CryptoFace, actually, he says this all the time. He's pretty keen on it. He says Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, those are your better days. You have more data. And it makes sense, right? Because over the weekend, we have not correct, we don't have correct price action. It's just not, it's not good. It doesn't represent the actual feeling of the market. Price action happened. I mean, this thing just pinched, and market makers did really good to keep it where it needed to be. And now there's a bunch of indecision. They're getting that cross. I don't know. We got to watch this level here. We are getting that cross. If we try to test this and we fail, we could start making our way down. I mean, again, and we talk about this all the time. You're 3/4 of the way into the money flow in the negative direction. You get about 3/4 of the way in, and you start looking at a long. So we get about 3/4 of the way in. Most things start pushing down. Price action keeps pushing up. The exact opposite of here. Price action is pushing down. Indicators are starting to push money up. So, I mean, pretty self-explanatory, I think. But again, we have to be mindful. Dominance is down. If it does get a bounce, we could see the push up, and away we go. It's absolutely like Bitcoin. Fake you out on an idea and then run the opposite way. So this is very possible. We just have to watch this level. Right here. All comes down to what Bitcoin chooses to do right here. If we get rejected here, I believe we see more continuation down. If we can break up through the top, could see another test at this and a push up. Ideally, Bitcoin's boring and alts start to target idea 2, 3 based on some type of a bullish pattern. A 100%, Dave. I absolutely agree. I like to watch on Mondays and oftentimes on Fridays in the mornings. If it's good, I might make a few trades. But once the afternoon hits, it gets a little wishy washy, and I don't really have a lot of confidence on the Friday afternoons either. You just never know if you're going to get pulled into a weekend trap. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think one full day of data, Monday, everybody's actually in there doing what they're supposed to. A lot of information to use on that day, Wednesday, Thursday, and you're right, it gets wishy washy on by Friday, right? Okay, so now we got to look at this nice, healthy cool offs for more continuation up. Never come down and make lower lows. Hold, we push higher, we push higher. But again, if you're not watching down here and you're not looking at this double bottom, 3/4 of the way into money flow being in a bad direction, if you're not coming in here and looking at the breakouts and the falling wedges and entering on these little patterns, which is exactly how we laid this trade out, should be not throwing a lot of money in the market and trading. Could we be wrong? Could Trump, while we are streaming, make a tweet and put his own coin up through the moon? He potentially could. Would I put the money that I worked really hard for on that? Yeah. Oh, Dot's another one. Um, Old school DeFi, I believe. Dot is by it most definitely. Same thing. We had this pattern that broke down. We had a big falling wedge. We broke out of it, but that wasn't our immediate buy. We came down and did this weird retest. It's a retest if you look at it. Came down and retested the pattern. But again, it didn't immediately break out when it went through this falling wedge and broke out of it. It formed another pattern. And then once it broke that pattern, people started paying attention. Volume started showing up. So if we look back here, we get this big drawn out pattern. We get this sideways pattern after it breaks. Volume comes in. And then people find a bullish pattern and they roll with it. So this is what we have to watch for now. What happens here? We don't make a bull flag here and we make some type of a rising wedge. It's going to lead me to believe that we see this drop down and then this drags out a little farther until it's time to go. Down here, we are confidently making our entry ideas because we are looking at higher time frame support and resistance. But in here, there is nothing that tells us this is going straight to the moon until we see a bullish pattern form. So again, the confidence can exist down here that just shouldn't exist up here unless you're getting into the lower time frames and looking for patterns. Okay. bearish. We go down, we find support somewhere, possibly continue up if we make a higher low. If we break up out of a rising wedge idea like this, that's super bullish. But being stuck in here or trading this is a mess. If you weren't in down here on the idea that we were consolidating, I'm not sure what would encourage you to get in up here on the idea that locally we could be in some type of a distribution phase where we go back into markdown, find that higher low before we continue. I think that's probably a good place to leave it. I don't want to ramble on. We talked about the ideas. We'll come back on tomorrow. We'll go over it again, and we'll see if anything's changed. We'll see where we're at. But again, recap. We're watching what Bitcoin does right now. We're watching what dominance does right now. And if our alt ideas are going to play out, we're going to see Bitcoin run sideways, cool off, and be a little boring, while dominance pulls back and alts get a chance to rally. If Bitcoin is going to continue to progress in the upward direction, dominance may bounce. We could see Bitcoin surprise us, and we could see alts either join in a little bit or at least just healthily pull back. Okay. Again, if you joined us today, thank you very much. We're going to wrap it up, and we will see everyone next week. We will see everyone tomorrow, and we'll go over what's going to happen for the rest of the week. For being here. Great rest of your day. Cheers, guys.